All right, time has expired. Mr. Paulsen is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There have been a lot of news reports this week that this has been a bad week for the President or a bad week for the administration, but I will just tell you after hearing additional testimony this morning myself that this is a bad week for America. That's the bottom line. And when supposedly neutral actors in our government choose sides and the results end up being highly corrosive to our democracy, this is a violation clearly of the trust of the American people. Mr. George, your report indicated, and you've testified, that the IRS improperly requested donor lists from targeted organizations. Obviously, that's a concern from the perspective of a pattern of behavior at the IRS based on the report from delays of applications and targeting and also the dissemination of confidential information. But let me ask you this. How long did the IRS, because you acknowledged this just earlier from 27 different organizations, how long did the IRS have in its possession these lists, these improperly lists that they shouldn't have had in their possession from 27 different organizations?
Congressman, they did not indicate, and we did inquire, the length of time that they have maintained that information, but again, that they did acknowledge that once they realized they should not have collected it, they destroyed it. But I do not have a direct answer as to how long they held on to it.
Mr. Miller, do you know how long the improperly obtained lists were in the IRS's possession?
I don't know, and I look, they were, the letters were bad. They were just way too broad. Should they have asked for them? Probably not. Was it bad intent or bad management? My guess and my understanding, bad management. When we found out about it, we reached out to people who hadn't sent them yet, and we told them, don't send them. We went to people who had sent them and told them we're not going to use them unless we need to, and we didn't. And at that point, my understanding is that we did not use them in any of those cases, and they're not being retained. They would have been destroyed in the ordinary course of our records retention rules.
Mr. George, were you able to confirm that the lists were actually destroyed, and if so, how were you able to confirm that?
It's through the testimony, the interviews that were conducted by our auditors. Now, I have to admit that that was not done under oath, but we have to go by what we were told by the employees.
Mr. George, do you have any idea how many donors were involved as a part of those lists?
Again, 27 is my understanding of the list of donors requested. Okay. So within the list, I'm not sure. But as I pointed out, 13 of the 27 were from Tea Party groups.
Okay. Mr. Miller, let me ask you this. Is it IRS practice to ask about a group's relationship with a specific person who's not a part of an organization that is applying for nonprofit status as a part of an application process?
So it can be, depending on the facts, based on, is there a contractual relationship that could be an issue? Is there undue influence going on in some fashion that, you know, for example, we would be looking at enormment, we would be looking at private benefit. The one other thing, I want you to know that the donor lists, because I want to just make it clear, 13 were Tea Party, but I believe, and my numbers are just a little different, 2 one way or another. But the Tea Party ones include 9/12 Patriots. The listing folks were the minority of the people who got the donor questions. I just want to clarify the record there.
Sure. Mr. Miller, has the IRS ever asked the question of an individual? Have they ever asked, what's your relationship with John Doe when they ask an organization who's applying status? Is that a common practice? Have you asked that question?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that, sir?
Well, Mr. Teaberry was going down a line of questioning earlier about a lengthy process of a questionnaire that was filed with an organization, and the IRS had asked the question on number 26 of an individual, provide details regarding your relationship with this individual. Is that a common practice? Does the IRS normally do that?
So I don't know what we're talking about there, and it's on an individual case, and I really should not and cannot speak to an individual case, sir. I'm sorry.
Would it be safe to say that knowing that that's probably inappropriate, would there be repercussions or some sort of discipline that might be followed up if that was determined to be inappropriate on that type of a question?
It would depend on the context again, and I don't have the context, and why it was asked, and was it Was it a lack of controls, and was it a mistake, or was it something different than that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield
Right.
back.
Thank you. Mr. Marchand.